The issue is that brands are seeing creators as like these Hollywood storytellers, but then wanting them to perform like programmatic ad units. And there's a massive disconnect. Engagement is such a blunt metric. Just time on screen doesn't really capture the comments, the brand.
You don't want to reduce creators to just another place to get reach.
You don't give a shit about traditional advertising anymore. Creators are the most creative people in the world, right? Like they know a 1 second, 3 second, 5-second hook rate better than just about anyone.
And then I posted the group chat one Sunday, and 1 week later I had 1.7 million and was on the Today Show and in Rolling Stone magazine and had a cameo from Charlie Puth, which was crazy. And
hi there. I recently hosted my first ever Nexty Media event in New York with my partners at VuePlanner, during which we talked to folks from across the creator meets media meets brand ecosystem. And so this week, we're turning highlights of that gathering into a special bonus podcast episode. We've got tons of insightful comments from the likes of Luma's Conor McKenna, Ian Schaefer from Assembly, Jamie Goodfriend of Creator Vision, Ali Parish from Horizon, and many more. We even talked to a real-life creator. There's lots to get into, so let's get started.
When I decided to do this event a few months ago, I was thinking, you're seeing so much attention all of a sudden around the creator economy has gotten a lot of attention for a couple of years, but really like all of a sudden brands are really realizing this is a huge space that they need to be in a bigger way. And you start seeing like all these other folks coming into the space realizing we've got to try and figure out how to accelerate this process. And you start seeing some of the huge brands saying we're going to spend half our budgets on creator advertising. And my thinking was, man, that's going to be challenging. Is the space? You would always say things like, could you actually spend $50 million in creators really quickly or not? Do we have the infrastructure? So that was kind of the thinking. And then just in the past couple of days, the IAB is putting out a number that the creator sector is going to grow to $37 billion this year, and Agentio just raised $40 billion. So I think we're good. We finished it. We figured the industry out. We're all done. We don't need to be here. But no, yeah. So thank you. Well done. But no, so there. It just seems like there is so much momentum in the space, but so much to figure out. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here, and I'm very thankful to my partners at VuePlanner for helping go on this journey with me and decide let's do an event together and see how it goes. And they've been super up for anything. And so thank you both to John and Amy, and Scott's not here. I need to thank Jamie Goodfriend, who has been instrumental in getting a lot of you folks here and just helping put some fuel behind this event and get us started. Yeah, that's burgers, alcohol. You said I'll fly in. Let's do it. So, I hope this goes well. I've never done an event my own before. So far, so good. You came. That's pretty good. I'm going to start we're going to try and blaze through a lot of content quickly, because I overschedule this. We're going to make it work, but we're going to start out with, we're going to take our macro view of the space. And I'm going to call up Conor McKenna. He's a partner at Luma, and Zoe Soon, who's the VP of the IAB Experience Center. I'm going to stand to the side. You guys have a seat.
Can you grab the microphone?
Well, yeah, there's the microphone. Where is the mic? You got it. Okay, you guys want to have to
in between us.
Yes. All right.
Back and forth.
So Conor, I'm starting with you because you kind of inspired a lot of the thinking here, because when you had an event, Luma had an event back, I think it was May. So we're talking about, I think people have always wondered whether does ad tech have a role in this space, or is it inherently difficult to bring technology to something that is seen as so custom and so it's all about creator authenticity, right? So, and you were kind of saying, hey, maybe this is the moment where the industry can make some more waves and bring more dollars in a smoother way. So that's a long way of me asking, how are we doing on that front? What were you thinking then? Have things accelerated in the right direction?
Yeah, I think, so just for frame reference, so I'm a partner at Luma. We're an investment bank. We focus on M&A in ad tech. So I've been in advertising technology for 11 plus years, and all the stuff that let shoes follow you around the internet, right? And where is there opportunities to build scalable, addressable advertising and the technology behind it? And we advise those companies. So we're always trying to think about sort of where's the next avenue or the channel, start CTV, mobile apps, et cetera. And if you look at the open web, I mean, frankly, there's big challenges there. So there's almost like an existential, where's the next big media channel? And, if you look at time spent of consumers, amount of media, I mean, obviously there's always been a ton of time spent on walled gardens, Meta, Google, et cetera. The challenge has been for ad tech is that they're controlled, right? So great. Meta makes all the money there. Google makes all the money there. the thing that I noticed and where I think there's an opportunity is those have shifted, right? Meta used to be a social platform. It's not a social platform. 7% of time spent on Instagram is with friends or people you know. It is an entertainment platform. So as that becomes an entertainment platform and you've got things like Shorts and Reels and TikTok all blending, these become competitive. And so that opens up a dynamic where tech can now come in and sort of step in to sort of manage across it. And if you look at where technology can capture margin in an advertising framework, it is always where is there fragmented media. So is the supply fragmented where technology can come and make that easier for marketers to buy across? What is more fragmented than the creator ecosystem where there's, what is it? The quantum of all of TV added to YouTube a day. So there's massive amount of fragmentation. The challenge is, can you find a way to actually apply capabilities to that to address it that doesn't have to go through YouTube? Now, I think there is still a huge opportunity for the walled gardens, but increasingly with ad tech, both I think it's existential as what's happening to where time spent is going on and what's happening with the open web as it relates to, AI and navigation and all the rest. And two, there's just a massive opportunity. That is where consumers are spending their time. That is what's influencing their decisions. And now that there's sort of competition, the walled gardens go from walled gardens to distribution platforms, and that's where technology can step in. So I think that's sort of the framework. Where do I think we are? I mean, almost nowhere. Like ad tech is, I'd say there's been obviously a huge opportunity. The creator space has done very well on its own, but it's been very manual in my view. It's sort of the earlier agency days. The technology ecosystem has to come in, and they're starting to. But it's
so is it that the walled gardens are a little bit more opened up, or is it that the ad tech companies are like, I don't know about the open web, I need to shift to something else, and I need to rethink about how I define what's.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. I don't know. You'd say the walled gardens have opened up. I mean, they understand that creators are critical for them and that their creators are balancing across different things. They don't want to be tied to just meta metrics. And so that challenge opens up like, hey, there's technology that can start to make margin there. We are seeing that whether it's, in the creator space or just optimizing meta spend better, is getting better sort of across the board. There's more margin there than I've seen in the last decade.
All right. By the way, people can ask questions and jump in while we're talking here. Like, it's Christmas Eve, we're all together. Let's just feel free to, we're a family. Zoe, from your point of view, you and I talked about this when we had our prep call. I think you were in a cab. I was at a train. It was like really the quickest prep call. But yes, there is a total recognition, right, of the importance of this creator space. I guess there's the question from advertising, where to put it, how to fund it, and like the disconnect. You talked about the disconnect between maybe like the folks that control the big media budgets and how to execute things. Can you kind of expand on that thinking a little bit?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Zoe. I run the creator and gaming verticals at the IAB, so a lot of industry work. I think where advertising is, Unilever went out and said 50% of their marketing spend is going to sort of creator-related things. As you mentioned, we're about to have an annual ad spend research come out on the 20th, and it's shown that creators growing 400% faster than the average of digital media. So
that's great. Like,
yeah. So advertisers are like there, and sort of like as Conor said, we're trying to catch up. The issue is that brands are seeing creators as like these Hollywood storytellers, but then wanting them to perform like programmatic ad units. And there's a massive disconnect. So we don't have the infrastructure, the measurement's not there. It's in different teams. It can be in the PR team as opposed to the media buying team. But I think, three things are really driving it. The collapse of traditional media and just like Gen Z, just not on those platforms where you can find them. They're very ad avoidant. Creators have this amazing trust and relationship that they've sort of like nurtured and got with their audience.
Right.
I think G today, COO of WPP, was saying, people like me, there's like a lot of people like me relationships. And then the third thing is built-in distribution. Like, you just can't beat that scale. I think you were saying like the quantum amount of TV going into, so those three things are really driving advertiser interest.
And this is something that I saw a panel during Advertising Week, which it was interesting. There's a little bit you mentioned how this bubbled up from PR, at least the early influencer days, and now it seems to be the domain of either the social agency or the media agency. But there's one brand was saying, no, I think this should be coming out of the creative department because there's some of the creators are so integral to what we do. Is there any kind of uniformity that we could expect? Is that possible?
I mean, that's what we're aiming for, to have one supply chain that has standard processes and, teams that communicate. The goal is to close that gap between.
Right.
Yeah.
Please.
I think the other aspect is the creative and the media buying agency are collapsing anyway, or need to together, as in they're merging. If you're to look at Meta performance advertising anyway, like you now have to upload 50 creatives at a time, and then Meta chooses what works.
Right.
And so yes, creative needs to be part of it because you're asking creators to often make the creative that then drives the spend, but you need to, the goal is, okay, get a bunch of creative that works and let their algorithms decide what's actually going to drive outcomes in business performance. That's the goal, is let that engine work. And on the other side, you need to be able to scale the sort of creative, creation by accessing a lot of creators. The challenge before has been, you've got to guarantee that spend to all of them before you know what works.
Right.
This is where the sort of opportunity is heading.
It's interesting because this is happening at a time when there is so much exuberance around AI and so much hype, but the ad community is wrestling with handing over so much of their control and advertising to algorithms and big tech companies, which seems kind of diametrically opposed to this whole authenticity, realness of creators. Are those things going to be in conflict, or can they work together? I don't know if either of you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, look, I yesterday interviewed Mark Darcy, who's the chief creative officer or CVP of creative from Microsoft AI, really big marketer. He was the chief creative officer for Facebook for over a decade. And he had this great point around just, humanist AI, right? And the focus on that. I don't think you lose any of that. The aspect here is, how do you go find niches with lots of creative that's personalized to each of those audiences? I mean, if you're Unilever, right, and you've got one of their soap brands, I'm going to mess up which is P&G or Unilever right now, so I'll keep it there. Why should you and I see the same ad or same creator if we are using completely different audiences? That's the opportunity. That doesn't necessarily lose the authenticity for me or you. It's just creating scalability in a differentiated way. And so you can use, maybe AI in that case. I don't think AI for all the creative is the same. He has this great line, like, mediocrity is free now with AI and creative.
Right.
You can't get that with a creator, right? So you can still have that sort of, that own impression. It's just, how do you scale that? You need to have an engine on the back end that's not sending you and I the exact same creator just because the scalability was there if we're going to react to different creators doing the same ad.
So we one of the things that came up, you guys had at a conference call today talking about their forecast you're putting out, and it feels like I've heard people say that right now brands are jumping into creator deals, almost not totally sure that it's almost not that they're doing it on a whim, but they don't have a very standard way of tracking success yet. Whereas so much of the rest of the industry is gone hardcore into outcomes or everything, and everything has to be super trackable. I wonder if creator integrations can ever get there, but do we need some kind of like GRP for this industry, or something that is, or some version of the click through on a search ad where there's a standardization of how we evaluate these deals, or is that just never going to be possible?
We did talk about that today.
Yes.
I think there are different metrics that go with different goals. So if your goals are top of funnel, then it's obviously going to be reach versus conversion. The research study that we're about to put out says a lot of the data that brands are using to assess campaigns comes from first party. It's the tried and true answer of like, you need the apples to apples, but it would be nice to have something that captured the essence of creator that goes beyond just time on screen, right? Engagement is such a blunt metric. Just time on screen, it doesn't really capture the comments, the brand.
You don't want to reduce creators to just another place to get reach. Like that's
exactly. That offers
part of it,
more.
Right?
So, I would love to see us get to a place where we have, a universal metric that sort of has the apples to apples, but I question whether we can do that based on the different brand goals. And
Also, I think that the platforms aren't incentivized to make that possible, right? The asymmetry of information is to their benefit. It's why they've done so well. Now that actually we move from, to reels and shorts and stuff, it's even harder on YouTube for creators to make money because the rev share is very different. And you actually rely more on creator tools. They don't, TV relied on the GRP and Nielsen, and yet if you ask anyone on TV, they hate it now. Right. So, I don't think those distribution platforms are incentivized to try to make that happen. At the same time, that's where technology can come in and move on top of it. And again, it moves to its performance and optimization. I don't think, pure reach and frequency is exactly where we're going to. And are you going to be able to tie your reach on Meta to your reach on TikTok? Probably not. I think relying on that is
that's an issue regardless of creators, right? That's just difficult.
Yeah, where they're not going to share enough data back where you can, match across what's working. Now, can you see, hey, we have this list of people we want to, sort of exclude on from targeting on Meta and exclude from targeting on TikTok? You can do tests and manage it that way, but it has to be fed into the monetization engine. It can't work if you're just doing it through organic posting. Right. And so that's sort of that merging of the creator spend with the monetization engines that I think unlocks a lot of the scalability here.
I guess last question for you both. Is it a good, kind of related to that, is it a good or bad thing? You're seeing YouTube in particular they've gone back and forth between how involved they want to be in brokering creator deals. Now they seem to be leaning into that. That seems like it's good for the ecosystem, but I don't know if makes it harder for third parties to come in and kind of play that role. Or is it fine that, there's a lot of different ways into this world, or does that make it more complicated?
Yeah. Okay. Selfishly speaking, I think not good, because the less they're involved, the more there's room for third party technology. But I also don't think creators want it. A good example of this is less about YouTube, but actually, Meta acquired a business called Customer that was meant to be like a CRM for creators. They got a lot of pushback. People did not want Meta managing all of their emails and relationships because creators are not, singular channel. Even if the YouTube is their primary channel,
that feels like they're giving up too much to one channel.
Or they use Instagram or their sort of organic reach and they funnel them down to YouTube. I don't think people want to give that control up to any of those platforms. So if they can help facilitate that, hey, if you make those deals, we can make it scalable, that's interesting, but I don't think they want them involved in the direct negotiation.
All right.
I think I agree. It's just the cross-platform is really interesting for creators. So.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Zoe, how many people said that they consider a creator a must-buy in the study?
Over 50% of US buyers, Jamie.
There you go.
It was second only to search and social. So, yes. And also, Chris Brutally, here's my research partner. He ran the research for us. So if you have specific questions, feel free to hit him up.
Terrific. All right, Conor, Zoe, thank you so much. You can start us off with this great perspective. And now it's time for Ali Parish, she's group director with Blue Hour Studios, and Jeremy Stewart, SVP and co-founder of VuePlanner. Come on up, guys. So, Ali, we talked about this. You kind of have lived the evolution of all the different ways that brands and agencies have sort of parked these budgets or handled this strategy. Maybe tell us like how that how that has evolved for you in your career, and along the way help us understand what Blue Hour is and why it's a distinctive part of Horizon and all that stuff. Give us your journey a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hi, I'm Ali Parish. I head up our account team at Blue Hour Studios here in New York. Blue Hour is the social content and influencer arm within Horizon Media. We started in 2018 or 2019. And, since then have really just seen the growth of the creator space in such an interesting way. And because we are, embedded and kind of born out of Horizon Media, that media integration, like you're saying, Mike, has been so interesting to see that evolution over time.
Have you seen clashing philosophies on that over time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, there's going back to some of the measurement questions, and is there, one way that we should be measuring? From the last panel up here, that's certainly something that we've seen where, that understanding from back in, the old days, maybe, we should be looking at it like a GRP is the standardization, to now there is that understanding that there is impact in breaking through in, really high views, things of that nature, I think has been really the biggest shift.
Jeremy, now you guys are not a creator ad tech company per se, but you play a role in helping brands navigate YouTube and find the right context. I guess, is this an ask that you get to help them sort out how to buy the right creators and getting the right next messages? And could you see this? Is this something that is scalable over time in a way that we think about it?
Yes and no. So I'm Jeremy. I'm co-founder of VuePlanner. And so just a little bit of background there. We've been in the space for since 2018, trying to do measurement, suitability, contextual relevance on YouTube. So we didn't start out with the idea of scoring creator content. It was really just aligning relevant content with brand advertising. But recently, we've been getting more into the creator space because we have been getting a lot of requests of brands wanting to engage creators in their strategies. So the solutions that we try to provide are, can we align that type of content? How do we build a framework where it's repeatable, predictable for brands to understand what type of content is going to perform well? We've got some solutions that do predictive AI scoring on creative. And we've done that repeatably on creator content. Especially, we have a case study with Conagra from last year where they did 26 different influencers. And so when we started looking at that data with respect to creator content, understanding what those predictive scores were and how they correlated with YouTube performance, then we started understanding that, yes, there can be some level of standardization and ability to scale this content and try to find the right content.
And like with that Conagra example, how do they evaluate that kind of campaign? Does it get kind of lumped in with everything else they're doing on YouTube, which might be compared to television or more of a reach play, or there's something distinctive that they do there that kind of unlocks the value of those kind of deals?
When they came to, this was something they had just done completely kind of separate. It was obviously it was for the brands that they normally advertise on, but they didn't really have much expectation, I don't think. And so when we saw the creatives, they were not creatives that you would normally see on CTV or standard. They were very raw. Somebody just talking for 15 seconds about how they use bird's eye vegetables, and we looked at it and we're like, do you really want to run this on YouTube? And this wasn't what we were used to seeing. And so, I think that they were a little bit hesitant. We did our predictive scoring. We told them these are the ones we think are going to, perform better from a brand lift perspective. It bore out, but they actually ran them all. And then I think they were pleasantly surprised that what they actually ended up with was, but it wasn't something that they were anticipating.
Right. One thing you hear this a lot, and I wonder if this is your experience. That every deal is different, every integration is different, right? But you hear about these calls that so-and-so creator will have, where there'll be the social agency, the traditional media agency, the talent agency, some kind of intermediary, like 5 or 6 entities on the same kind of project, trying to figure out the right execution. Is that something that's still happening? And is that something that is that a problem? Is that just like the way this is the nature of the industry is always going to be, or can we do anything about that?
Yeah, I think it's so interesting. Over the years, we've seen that, influencer and creator content lives with different teams. Everyone kind of wants a slice of the pie. I think right now we're at a place where the integration of media, influencer, creative, and content overall is definitely a positive in terms of making sure that, at least for me and my team, all of those different teams are creating that brief up front together so that the ultimate creator content and the ultimate creator identification, is very integrated. It all speaks to the same thing. We're often also seeing that, can we think of media ideas up front when we think about, a specific talent to work with? So I think the more we can be integrated there and kind of speak that same language, just the better. And that's definitely what we've seen.
What do you both think about? Is there a way you're seeing efforts to standardize these kind of deals? YouTube's got this dynamic ad insertion product. You're seeing other companies trying to almost make an integration, like something that you can repeat. But I guess the danger there, or the challenge there, is that you lose the specialness of doing a really custom integration. But you want to talk, if you want to deal with 1,000 influencers, that's really difficult too. Like, can you do those things where they're still effective, and doing the right way? Is that?
So the latest version of YouTube's Brand Connect, which is now called the Creator Partnerships Hub, is they've basically taken that connective marketplace and they put it inside Google Ads for the first time. And so it's still, I think, in the alpha stage, but we've been using it for the last 3-4 weeks. And so you can really engage with. So there's over 3 million creators in the YouTube measurement, or the YouTube partner program. So there's a variety. I mean, there's more than you can ever imagine. But what's nice about it is when you do some simple searches, you can also see any given topic, any given brand, the authentic, non-branded stuff that influencers are actually talking and engaging brands. So you can partner on with them. You can promote stuff that they've already done that really does feel authentic, because you do want that. You don't want to lose that. So I think it's possible, but it is still a maze to try to figure out how do you get to those right influencers.
What do you think?
I would agree.
All right.
Yeah. Nothing major to add.
But is there a value, like, let's say that, because you've seen companies come along and say, we can do like a standard brand mention and do it for thousands of creators at once. And that's closer to programmatic advertising than we've ever been, but it's not exactly the same thing. Are those worthwhile, or do you find that brands are not getting this? You're just getting quick mentions and not getting the real audience connection that the whole space is supposed to be so about.
Yeah. I mean, I think going into any creator content with a very clear goal and understanding that there are multiple roles that any of that content can play. There definitely is the, mass volume affiliate play that is going to make sense for some goals for some brands. But on the other hand, that authenticity, that, inserting a brand into, maybe it's an existing storyline that an influencer or a creator has, and maybe it's their own series. I think there's pros and cons to both. It's really about finding space for how do we not put influencer in just one role and see that it has many. Yeah.
So, question for both of you: what is missing? What's on your list? If we want brands to really fully take advantage of this opportunity and be able to spend the dollars they're talking about, like what are we missing? Is it measurement? Is it infrastructure? Just more education? Like what's kind of for both of you? What are we missing here?
So I think it's definitely from the last panel, the standardization of what we're trying to measure. On YouTube, I think it's like 70% of creators do both short and long-term video. And so there is an opportunity there to get, traditional types of measurement, but then you have to understand how does that then apply to shorts or whatever else they're doing. But having the ability to get to some sort of a lifetime value of a creator, of, can we continue to go back to the same creators? Are we able to score their predictive predictably score their creative so that we know over time? Because I think that historically it's been go find a creator or a few and on a specific, and it's the frameworks and the ability to scale that has been very difficult. So I think that's moving in the right direction. And as soon as we get that, whatever that metric is that we're all agreed upon, I think we're getting closer.
What about you? What's in your wish list?
I would say, I think definitely that measurement integration across the board is super key. Being able to, just better tie the longer tail impact of any creator content. We can say, okay, this piece of content got so and so many organic views. It really, broke through for the brand. That's great. But what does that do for it, over time? I think that is the biggest question. That's really the biggest question of all advertising.
Yes. Before I let these folks go, anybody have any questions for Ali or Jeremy? All right. You're both off the hook. Thank you so much, guys. Connor's coming back up, and he's going to talk to Arthur.
Thank you.
Looking to get more out of your YouTube advertising? With VuePlanner, you can buy with total confidence and clarity. VuePlanner is a verified YouTube brand suitability and contextual targeting partner in the YouTube measurement program. Recognized by Google as a trusted independent leader in driving and measuring performance on YouTube. Their advanced technology gives you a clear edge. Only with VuePlanner. We're talking custom curated contextual collections, exclusive content strategies, transparent reporting, and AI-driven optimization to deliver real results. Don't let your budget go to waste. Partner with VuePlanner and experience the difference. Visit VuePlanner.com now to unlock your full advertising potential on YouTube. That's VuePlanner.com.
Well, hello again to everyone. Now I'll look at this way. Last time I was faced that way. So, to talk about the creator space, and obviously where I'm focused is technology. And so I'm really happy to have Arthur here from Agentio. We met, a year ago, right? And I feel like I get the benefit of just getting to talk about really high level things, which is a lot of where my commentary is based on what I've seen sort of at 30,000 feet. And when we met, I think we kind of had a mind meld of, oh, wow, this is what you're actually building. So Agentio is just a fascinating platform from my perspective in the creator space and really bringing that scalability I talked to this ecosystem. Not planned by this, but actually announced a 40 million Series B today. So a lot of congratulations to Arthur and the team there. So let's just for people who aren't familiar, I don't know how familiar people are. I'm not going to try to describe Agentio. I'll let you do that and just introduce yourself and tell them what Agentio is all about, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Arthur Leopold. I'm CEO and co-founder of Agentio. The friction that you were just hearing about in the last panel, and like the challenges that marketers face with trying to partner with creators, trying to measure creators, this like very archaic way of trying to shape creators into your campaigns is what we're trying to solve for. And if you think about global digital ad spend, there's about $10 billion today running direct from brands to creators, and $800 billion running through Meta and the Trade Desk and Amazon and Google. And the reason the creator space is so constrained is because of all the complexity around deal making, negotiation, brand safety, measurement. And in building Agentio, prior to Agentio, I helped start Cameo and saw the friction that fans had to deal with. And then, of course, brands were reaching out. In building Agentio, we realized that because of large language models and because of my co-founder's experience building ad tech at Spotify, we could actually automate the friction and eliminate all the challenges that marketers have to deal with today in trying to build and scale creator programs. And what that would do, inevitably, is shift these paid media budgets to the best storytellers in the world, those who have the strongest audiences, and those who, like, you guys on your phone right now, like, you're consuming creator content. You don't give a shit about traditional advertising anymore. And that's only going to continue to increase this connection that creators have with their audiences. We started the business 2 years ago, or launched the platform 2 years ago. Benchmark led our Series A 11 months ago, and we just announced a $40 million Series B today. And we've been able to scale so quickly because we have the very best consumer brands in the country now partnering with creators in a scalable way. So what does that mean? It means that brands like Uber and Olipop and Skims and Viore and DoorDash and a lot of the brands that we all are probably wearing, Bombas socks, they can scale budgets from $50K a month to over $1 million without additional bandwidth needs on their end or our end. We have $500,000 budgets get filled in under 24 hours, a process that historically would have taken 6+ months. So there's a lot of like OG ad tech people in this room. Think back to like 20 years ago when people were buying ads on the internet. Right, you'd like call up a website and try to get like that upper right hand corner of the page, and of course, like DoubleClick came along and the Trade Desk came along, and they automated away all the complexity. And in doing so, they brought hundreds of billions of dollars into digital advertising to publishers. We're taking that exact same approach to creator advertising. Our belief is that the future of advertising is creator led. It's unfortunately been too constrained for too long. We started with YouTube as our initial sort of wedge. So these are like 90-second creator integrations, creator talking about why they love a brand. And it's an insanely performant ad unit because of the storytelling nature. And, we've since turned on a partnership post beta on Meta. And, we're going to be using this funding, of course, to expand to every platform and enable advertisers to come into Agentio and put in $1 million a minute, a day, a week, a month, or whatever it is. And we can identify which creators on which platforms can drive the best outcomes for advertisers and shift those dollars accordingly. So that's what we're building towards.
All right. That was a very fulsome introduction. You took like 3 of my questions away there. So let me shift here. So one of the reasons you mentioned sort of, ad tech scaled with DoubleClick and others also with the IAB and with standardization, right? Whether that standardization was ad units. So a banner is, 250 by 300, or RTB specs and things like that allowed people to run on similar rails. Walled gardens historically have been, walled gardens, right? So they create their own rules. You don't get a lot of data. They control the standardization. Maybe we'll focus on YouTube because that's where you guys have started. But what is sort of that unlock to the standardization or maybe it's not the standardization, maybe it's just the workflow that allows that scalability to go from 50,000 to a million, in 24 hours that has been so challenging in the creator space?
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with standardizing the ad unit. And especially on YouTube, I'm sure many of you feel this, especially with VuePlanner. YouTube's still like, people don't understand it. It's misunderstood. It doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. And we realized that there was this 60-second ad unit where we could get a lot of data from creators connecting their YouTube accounts to Agentio. While we might not get like the view through data, we certainly could infer certain things. And on the paid side, we could use the best measurement, attribution suites out there, Google and Meta's measurement platform. So we could standardize creator content in 2 ways. One, enable the buying of it to be really easy through this bidding model that we've pioneered in the creator space, where brands load up campaigns, we create strategies. We have this agentic strategy creation, and we launch these strategies to help a brand hit their goals. The brands approve the creators. Sometimes the machine just approves the creators on the brand's behalf. Creators receive the bids. Creators upload the content. Creators are told instantaneously, like if you're away luggage and there was a competitive bag in the background, or if a creator didn't use a QR code. So all of this process that today takes a lot of people is now standardized, and that enables a level of scale. That's on the YouTube side, and then on the Meta side, like, Meta's out there beating the drum today. The most performant ad unit on Meta are partnership ads, but really hard to scale, right? Like, how do you price? If you're a paid media buyer, you're going to tell a creator, hey, we'll only pay you $500 because we can't risk more than $500 because we'll know if that ad's going to perform with $500 to spend. But then the creator is going to come back and say, I need 10 grand or 20 grand because that's what I get for my organic post. And that model will never work. So we've taken a different approach with our model that's enabled a level of scale and standardization.
Yeah, I think the partnership posts and TikTok's got their own version of it, and YouTube lean into this is sort of a fascinating space where, and I think you might have been the one who told me this, is where you get that, like, how do you take the creativity of the creators and put it into the engine of the monetization? Like, Meta and Google and YouTube are so good at running that monetization piece. Let them do that. We want to bring the creative, and we want to make sure the creator actually gets paid for it.
Yeah,
right?
1,000%. Like, at the end of the day, creators are the most creative people in the world, right? Like, they know 1 second, 3 second, 5 second hook rate better than just about anyone. Even the great creative, like the creative agents or folks that are leading creative agencies, they're now like becoming the most popular people on social, right? Like Owen and Schwinn. And what's amazing about creators is that they essentially are micro creative agencies. And especially with the way that Andromeda is rolled out and what Meta is asking of its advertisers, we need an essentially unlimited amount of creative variation. Yeah. And that's not like old school creative variation, like, oh, just change the type, change the CTA, change the color. That's like an entirely different piece of content. Like, how on earth is a creative agency going to create that much content in an efficient way when an advertiser can test that very quickly and know if it's going to perform? That's why leveraging creators can be so powerful, because they can be a brand's content engine. And if you look at the Meta ads libraries of brands like Groons, there's a bunch of them I could rattle off, but worth taking a look. And they're working with hundreds of creators at a time, and they have hundreds of these partnership ads, and that's why they've been able to scale so quickly as businesses.
Yeah, makes sense. What about, so we talked about the sort of workflow scalability aspect of this. The other big thing that drove ad tech, broadly speaking, so there's hundreds of billions of dollars, is the, addressability and the optimization of who you're targeting, how you're choosing who to work with, right? So what's that aspect of it look like as you guys are trying to drive scale? So yes, we got to make it work. The platform's not set up for it. We can push these out with standardization, but you're limited in the audience side of things, right? That's still controlled by the platforms. How are you guys allowing the grooms to figure out who to go manage, how to manage that addressability? Are you capturing the right audience from them?
Yeah, our job is not to be like the paid media strategist. So we're letting their team or sometimes their agency own that. And the Meta engine own it through Advantage Plus. With YouTube Organic, like, you can target based on the creators' audiences, but it's not the level of precision that you would expect with traditional paid. But targeting is always going to be a challenge. And if you have the best creative, though, you can reach obviously a super, I guess, targeted audience and do so really effectively. And that's the power of getting a lot more creative.
All right, I have to use the mic when I ask questions. All right, so you mentioned YouTube. You're in beta on Meta now. Creators in many ways I view, and I think this was said before, I mean, it's very cross-channel, right? It's TikTok, it's YouTube, it's podcasts, it's all these things together. How do you think about, over the next 3 to 5 years, whether it's Agentio or just more broadly, do these come together and are they managed across platform, or are they managed individually by each channel or platform? Yeah.
I think brands want to be able to manage their spend in one holistic place, right? That's the way that they run a lot of their business, whether it's like an ERP system or Rippling or an HR system, right? So to have to go from one platform to the next, especially when the creators are across every platform, I think presents a really interesting opportunity for tech to help enable advertisers to essentially consolidate where they're spending their time and get the best insights that are tied to the performance of creative across paid, organic, creator, traditional, under one roof.
Yeah. So the last question here. The guy, Mark Darcy, was full of like the best quotes I've ever had. And we use another quote from him that the advent of AI is going to create sort of a Cambrian explosion of creativity, right? It's this incredibly powerful tool used by creative people can massively increase the amount of creative. Now that can be used for ads. That was the context of that conversation. It also can be used for everything else. I guess as you look at how AI comes into this space, what do you see the impact of that? Does it change the number of advertisers using these channels? Does it change the number of creators? How do you think that impacts the space?
You're going to have a banging YouTube channel because it'll be so easy for you and everyone in this room to create incredible content, and the cost of production goes to zero, right? We're already seeing that with Sora 2, and Sora 2 could be considered AI slop today, but in 6 months, 12 months from now, it's going to be better than 99% of Hollywood studios and what they can produce. So this is, I think you said it earlier, like AI generation today is mediocrity at scale, and you have to be an incredible creative. You have to be an incredible strategist to win when there's like this proliferation of slop. But I also think there's going to be a concentration of trust towards creators because of the engagement and the equity that they've built with their audiences, and people that we all follow for years or many months or sometimes decades. You care about that person, and when your entire feed is potentially AI, potentially not, you're going to still go back to that person because you've built that parasocial relationship with them and you trust them, and therefore you trust their recommendations. So because of that, there will also be a concentration of dollars to creators. But let's also remember that creators are going to be more empowered than ever. Like they're going to have like the best tools in the world. They're going to be able to make the best creative in the world, both for their own channels and then also on behalf of advertisers. So it's an insanely exciting time. Like AI is going to be bigger than the internet realistically, like its impact and the speed at which it's going to be moving, and how impactful it's going to be to businesses, to creatives, to people looking to generate great outcomes. They now have like literally not just a search box with some level of intelligence, but they now have the world's smartest, most creative, most thoughtful sparring partner at their at their beck and call whenever they want to partner or whenever they want to build product or test product. It's just like a massive paradigm shift away from how things currently work.
Arthur, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, guys. All right. Hi, Sunny, how you doing?
Hi, I'm Haley. Is this thing on?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I worked in the creator economy for 8 years, and I work at Made by All. I've been at Made by All for 3 years. We represent the top creators in the creator economy, including Sydney, who created the TikTok viral series, The Group Chat, and is nominated for TikTok Rising Star of the Year. Go vote on TikTok.com. Handing it over to Sydney.
I'm Sydney. I created the group chat. I'm nominated for Rising Star of the Year. I was smart enough to sign with Made by All and have Hailey as my manager. And yeah, it's been about 8 months since I started being a creator full time and since the group chat went viral, and a lot of exciting things in the works. So I'm just happy to be here.
So Sydney, a few months ago you were on the Today Show.
Yeah.
And now you're here. Look at what's happening for you.
I know, it's crazy.
You probably get very tired of this, but give us the short version of the story, because I think people wonder so much what we're talking about is creators that have been doing this for a long time and have a plan and an ongoing ad business. Give us your origin story in a quick couple of minutes.
In a quick couple of minutes. Okay, the Spark Notes version of my life is I was a theater major in college. I was actually kicked out of my theater department, which I love to bring up because I think it's such a big part of, it's so... I'm already like lacking in the words. It's very subjective, and you never know. So for someone, my department to literally look at me and be like, "You're just not going to make it in this industry," was really ignorant on their part, because you just really have no idea. TikTok didn't even exist when I was in college, so nobody could have known. And I started working in jewelry. I was working in estate jewelry, like a normal 9-to-5 job in Midtown, and creating on the side after work whenever I could, creating videos. And I had this script written for the group chat, which it wasn't called at that point. And it mostly was just like character descriptions that were really fleshed out. And I didn't post it for a long time because I was afraid that it would flop when I posted it. So I kind of like kept that back. And I had a few viral series before that. I was at about 250,000 followers. And then I posted the group chat one Sunday, and 1 week later I had 1.7 million and was on the Today Show and in Rolling Stone magazine and had a cameo from Charlie Puth, which was crazy. And everything just really, really did change so fast. And I did feel like I was coming into a world of creators that had been doing it since at least COVID, and everyone was very established and knew each other and had this direction, which in some ways was really fortunate because I was able to get some really great advice from those people. And in some ways was really scary because I would come into events like this and everyone sort of knew each other and had this really vast knowledge of the business. And I didn't. And I had just been working in jewelry, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're a writer." And I'm like, "No." "Oh, you're a creator." "No, I really don't know." So, and I'm still figuring it out. But with the help of the right team, I feel like I've really navigated it over the last couple months.
So what happens then, and either of you can kind of chime in, you don't, that takes off, it's maybe unexpected, or you're not sure, do brands start calling right away? Or are you even thinking, well, I don't know if I could do that again? Like, or do you start saying, I got to turn this into a business immediately? Or what happens next?
I'll pass it to you. I'll go first. I'll pass it to you. I think for me, it was immediately I was getting a lot of calls from managers and agents and brands, and I didn't know how to navigate those situations by myself. I didn't know how to negotiate brand deals. One of the first brand deals that I ever took, I really didn't know what I was doing. And like later on, when the budget was discussed, it was like, oh God, like, why did you do that? Someone said to you caved in too fast, or they were just kind of like, "Oh, this is the money we're offering you." And I was like, okay. And then that was not the correct amount of money, I guess, for like my ratio following, which I had no idea at the time. But it all happened really fast. And my boss in jewelry, who very, very supportive, but when I hadn't been to work in 2 weeks and I took a Friday off to be on the Today Show, finally came to me and was like, I don't think you can work here anymore. You're never here. And I was like, that's fair. This really isn't working out. So then I didn't have a job, and I did have this amazing opportunity on TikTok, but I didn't know how to turn it into revenue quite yet. And that was where my team came in.
Hello. So yeah, I saw the viral group chat series and was familiar with Sydney, and was so excited when she took a meeting with Made by All because her type of virality is very rare. But I think, and Sydney can attest to this, like the first thing I asked her was like, I'm so excited to meet you and hear what you want to do. Whereas every other management company and agency had come to her with like a full plan and like their own vision and never asked her what she wanted to do. In terms of the brand side, we would marry like her vision along with like a lot of brands coming to us and asking us, you know, to be on her TikTok and to be on her Instagram. But we had to figure out a way for her to still produce the group chat in an organic way that her audience loves so much, and to also incorporate brands in there, but not detract from engagement. So that was its own battle.
Okay, so you've both heard a lot of the different points of view on how this process could be better or faster. You know, again, this is very unique to your show and your following and everything. But is there a right way for brands to approach you? I mean, obviously you're a little more established. You have an agent. Like, is there a better way that this could happen where going forward you get this right? Or is it always going to be unique to a show, to a series, to a moment in time?
I can start with that. I heard everyone go before me and I have some opinions myself. But so brands, just so you know, are not approaching the creator. You're approaching me because her email comes directly to me. Okay. So more than likely, you're talking to their manager or agent first before you ever get to Sydney. You will chat with me for a while. So I'm assessing the brand deal in regards to like, does the budget make sense for her? Does the creative make sense for her? Is this a brand that she would even want to work with? I know her pretty well at this point, so like 9 times out of 10, I can probably gauge like, is this a fit for Sydney? Or I'll call her and be like, do you like this brand? And if it's
got to be hard to say no in the beginning, right? Or it's got to be scary. I would think like,
no.
What? No, no.
She is quick to say no.
See, I always say yes when someone calls.
I was really decisive from the beginning. Actually, before I even signed with Made by Al, I had gotten one of the, even to this day, one of the most like biggest budgets for a brand deal that I had been offered, and it was just not a fit at all. I could tell that they had not really seen the group chat and they didn't really know.
Like they just saw a headline and they're jumping in like, I want to jump on the virality.
It was sort of like, oh, look at the camera and say this like very Truman Show-esque of advertising. And I was like, oh, that's really not kind of what my brand is. So they sort of knew that from the beginning, I think.
Yeah, we definitely got a feel for like what she liked, what she didn't like, so that we could speak with the brand and get a sense of the deal so that we're not calling her every 2 minutes with like, oh, well, what about this?
So, okay, you work with lots of clients at your company, right? Is there a way to what do you think of these ideas of trying to standardize this and trying to pump out a lot of brand recommendations for a bunch of influencers at once versus doing what you're talking about, which is like taking your time, finding the right opportunity, working together? Did you have to go one way or the other? Is there a right way to do things? Balance?
I think what someone said previously about it being a relationship and not just maybe they said transaction, I'm not sure, but the word relationship is definitely true. That's what we look for. For example, for her group chat, and she can speak to this too, we had a brand partner, Hilton, that worked with us across many seasons of the group chat. So they were already very familiar with the series. Before they even approached, they were a fan of the series. They knew it backwards and forwards. They knew and liked her content. And that was really apparent when they approached. And then they were willing to work with her in terms of scripting, still following FTC guidelines, but also letting her be the creator and be the writer. So that was a long-term relationship, and that is what we look for. In terms of like more transaction and choosing 100 different creators, I guess it depends what the brand is trying to achieve. There are a lot of brands that are launching something and they just want so much traction and they're choosing 100 different creators to get that traction. I think that's okay. If they want to spend the budget, like go for it. But I think, the long-term and the relationship building is definitely what we look for.
Yeah. I agree. I think with the Hilton specifically and with a lot of brands like that, I appreciate when a brand will come down to the influencer level. I think a lot of problems with brands is that they sort of see themselves as like this sturdy staple in the industry and like they don't need to concern themselves sort of with social media. And that's fine, but it's harder to organically integrate them into content when they are not so flexible with social media and they don't really understand it. So, I mean, Hilton appeared in my comment section, as did, TripAdvisor, which was another brand we worked with the first season. that we did like a travel partner, and it was because they appeared in the comments very early on. And then there were so many of my followers commenting back to them like, oh, you're here in the comments, you should fund this, Costa Rica trip that's sort of being talked about, which was fictional. I initially said like, there's this bachelorette in Costa Rica. It was a plot of the group chat. We did not think we were going to go there, but because TripAdvisor appeared in the comments and they were like, oh, we could send you to Costa Rica, then there was a call for it. And I think I really appreciate when a brand will come down to my level and not take themselves so seriously. And it does make the process of writing and working with them a lot easier when I feel like they fully understand the world that I'm living in, as opposed to the traditional advertising, commercials on TV and stuff. It's very, very different when you have a creator who's on the front lines. And if something doesn't go well, I'm the one mostly getting the backlash, not necessarily the brand that I'm working with. So I have to be very picky and strategic about who I work with.
So you still find some brands are just like, I don't want to get in the muck with social media, or is it just a control thing, and that the letting go, that's still a challenge? Haley, if you don't have thoughts on that, or either of you?
I mean, there are a lot of brands that are resistant to social media. Literally, if you look at, like the top 30 brands that have the highest budgets and make the most money, you can Google or look at them on TikTok, and a lot of them don't even have TikTok accounts, which again is fine. But I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but I do find that the brands that don't involve themselves with social media have a harder time understanding what it is that we're doing. And if we're not on the same page, like, for example, I had a brand, all of my characters since like the first episode are color coded. There's 7 characters that I
play
all
them all,
of them.
we should say.
I do play them all. It's very Jim Carrey of me. But they're all color coded. And so I had a brand be like, well, you can't wear these 4 colors. And I was like, that's not possible. And it makes me think that you've never even seen an episode. Then it's so hard. Then it's like every single step that we go through.
You're not asking to
delayed.
drink a competitive soda. You're just asking that, like, you want to wear.
I just need to wear black. It really is so simple. And it makes every step of the way a lot harder when I'm like trying to explain my content, explain social media, explain like everything along the way. And it's not so fluid as it is with brands who come on and they're like, we know the group chat, we get it, we understand the social media aspect of it, why it draws people in, and we're ready to just be integrated into that.
I think by the time brands come to us, they've succumbed to social media because they want to work with our creators and they have a budget for it. But I think, to your point, it's like the resistance comes from, and sometimes it's not their fault. So I am on the brand side as well as the creator side, and I'm trying to like marry the two visions. They have like a huge legal team they need to respond to. There's FTC. Someone said earlier, like, no one can be in the background. That's a huge thing. But I think the more that they can let the creator have their own vision, and like Sydney said, like, they're familiar with their content, like they're coming into it with prior knowledge, and like, they know who they're working with, like, you're paying them for a reason. So that's always helpful.
Did you, I'm curious about what you both think of the platforms getting more involved or not involved, but did you hear from TikTok like right away, or do you, hey, come into our partnership program, or not at all? No. I wasn't part of the creator rewards program on TikTok for many reasons, but I actually have not. I don't know if we've ever heard from TikTok.
Well, they invited you to the award.
They did invite. They nominated me for an award. I take it back. TikTok, we love you so much. No, the apps and the actual platforms are great. But a lot of them by design are not super communicative with the audience. I mean, like, if anybody's ever been locked out of their Instagram account, there's not exactly like a help hotline you can call, right? You have to kind of finagle your way back in. So by nature, that's not how it is, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I do think it would be beneficial if someday there was a way to directly contact TikTok more. We do have contacts at TikTok that we speak to, but it's such a large platform that you speak to one department in TikTok. That's the one department. It doesn't apply to the whole thing. You could speak more to that.
Yeah, we have a very close relationship with Meta and YouTube. TikTok is uniquely difficult, but also love TikTok, and please
just because they haven't been around as long, or they're getting sold maybe, or
I think there's a lot of different reasons.
They're just so massive. Right. Like, they're just such a huge platform. Everyone's on TikTok. I think with Facebook and Instagram, it's a little more spread out, and Snapchat and stuff, but just everybody's on TikTok.
I mean, Meta's huge. Like, there are so many people that work at Meta, but they, there's like a creator rep for most of the large creators, and they really advocate for their creators, and we have a close relationship with them. I can get them on the phone if you get locked out of your Instagram. And same with YouTube. So TikTok is uniquely difficult.
So I like this.
Yeah.
What, good or bad that for you, from your perspective, that YouTube is getting maybe more involved in helping connect brands and creators?
Yeah.
Is that mostly a good thing? And what about ad tech companies coming in and trying to do that?
I love YouTube. I will support them all day. And I always tell Sydney to do more on YouTube, post on YouTube Shorts.
Every day.
Every day. It's in the calendar. I like that they're getting more involved in creators. I love that. We do a lot of work with YouTube. They see creators as being the new Hollywood, which I completely agree with and is kind of the ethos of our company. There's a lot of work that we're doing with them to support that vision. So what was the other question?
Or is it good to have third parties coming in and trying to become the brokers or the, ad techifying this space, or is that stay out of my way? We got
That's
this.
fine as long as they have budget. Come through.
All right. Both of you can answer this, but Cindy, what has been really surprising to you about this weird business, and what do people not understand?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I think one of the things that I've come to really learn is just truly how many hoops brands and the agencies that the brands work with have to jump through. I think at first I would get really frustrated and be like, why is this so hard? But now I understand there's so much legal. There's so many higher ups in different departments.
The bigger the company is probably even harder.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And there's so many departments that they have to go through in order to make decisions and get things approved. And I think that was the most surprising thing. I thought brands were going to be sort of the biggest hurdle, but having the right team is really the biggest thing who will advocate for you and understand that. Because there are management companies and agencies who really do just want to make the most money off you that they can. And you have to find ones who really believe in you and see the longevity of it if they're going to fight for you and, not just try to make the most money off of you that they can.
Haley, last word. What do these people in this room not understand maybe that you need to help them with?
What do they not understand? Wow. I don't know what they understand, but the creator economy is it's such an exciting space. I'm so blessed that I got into this space 8 years ago when it was like in infancy, but we have a long way to go, which is also really exciting. So I think all the conversations around like creators working better with brands, I love to be involved in those because I am the middleman for the creator.
What would make your life a lot better? Better measurement, smoother processes?
There are so many cooks in the kitchen when it comes to brands working with creators, not just through me, but like if they work with an agency or we're talking to so many people and not brand direct. A lot of the time, the email chains are out of control. I think if the brand can keep like their deals in-house, sometimes that's really helpful so that you're not speaking through an agency who also doesn't know. Yeah. And it's really hard to FTC has gotten even crazier, right? So like the legal process and what they need to add to the caption and the disclosure, I think is getting even crazier. But the more that we can let it be entertainment, like someone said earlier, and not just a straight advertisement, the better it'll be.
All right. Thank you so much, Haley and Sydney. Thank you guys for coming out here. And thanks to everyone for spending so much time tonight. It's a terrific event. I appreciate you. You have lots of things to do. So I appreciate you taking time in your lives, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, please take a Yeti on the way out. And thank you, VuePlanner, for all your support and help. Awesome night and happy holidays, I guess.
Thanks again to my partners at VuePlanner and all the folks that attended my recent Next to Media event in New York. We have lots more to bring you, so please hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time for more on what's next in media. Thanks for listening.